2,000 years ago, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius sat in a dimly lit military tent and recorded a severe warning to himself. The mind should be a fortress, an inner citadel where the storms of the outside world cannot penetrate. He was not talking about stone walls. He was talking about the absolute, devastating power of strategic silence. Look around you today. We live in an era that worships loudness. We are told to broadcast our ambitions, display our metrics, and announce our victories before they even happen. We are conditioned to seek the validation of a crowd that does not care about our survival, mistaking cheap digital applause for actual power. But in reality, when you reveal your next move, you are doing something fatal. You are exposing your weakest flank to human envy, offering your enemies a blueprint to your destruction. There is a select group of individuals who refuse to play this desperate game. They are the anomalies in a noisy world. They operate strictly in the shadows, hide their progress, and obscure their true intentions. They understand a lethal fusion of philosophies, the unbreakable emotional control of Stoicism combined with the cold, calculated realism of Niccolò Machiavelli. This is the archetype of the silent achiever. They do not talk, they do not boast, and they do not warn you. They simply execute in absolute secrecy until the reality around you shifts, and you realize you have been checkmated without ever seeing the board. If you have ever felt your ambition drained after sharing it, or if you have watched a dream wither because a toxic person planted a seed of doubt in your mind, you are a victim of loudness. You have surrendered the gates of your fortress. Today, we are reclaiming that power. We are going to dissect the dangerous psychology of Machiavellian Stoicism, stripped of all generic advice and superficial fluff. This is the blueprint to becoming mentally untouchable, protecting your energy from narcissists, and moving with a silent, terrifying force. To understand the necessity of silence, you must look at human nature without illusions or romanticism. Human beings are inherently complex, and beneath the polite surface of social etiquette lies a primitive, destructive mechanism: envy. It is a quiet, venomous emotion that triggers automatically when someone witnesses a peer attempting to rise above their shared circumstances. When you announce your massive plans to a toxic friend, a jealous colleague, or a covert narcissist, their conscious mind might force a smile and offer a verbal congratulation, but their subconscious mind registers a profound threat. Your ambition acts as a violent mirror, reflecting their own laziness, their own stagnation, and their own unhealed failures. Your progress makes them feel insignificant. Because they lack the discipline to elevate their own lives, their psychological defense mechanism forces them to attempt to lower yours. This is where covert sabotage begins. A manipulator will rarely attack your dreams openly that would reveal their malice. Instead, they will use passive-aggressive skepticism wrapped in fake concern. They will plant microscopic seeds of doubt in your mind, disguised as practical advice. They will tell you the market is too saturated, that you are risking too much, or that someone far smarter than you already tried and failed. Stoic master Epictetus observed that a doubt cannot harm you unless your mind consents to it. However, when you reveal your intentions early, you hand these manipulators a knife and show them exactly where your armor is thin. Their hesitation becomes your paralysis. Their internal toxicity leaks into your creative space. The silent achiever understands this deeply. They do not hide their plans out of fear. They hide them out of supreme disrespect for the opinions of lesser minds. They deprive the narcissist and the cynic of the raw material required to build a cage around their potential. The urge to speak is not merely a social habit, it is a neurochemical trap engineered by your own brain. Modern psychiatric data reveals a fascinating glitch in human neurology. When you state a specific goal to someone and receive immediate praise, your brain experiences a massive release of dopamine. Your brain gluttonously enjoys the psychological satisfaction of completing the goal, simply because you talked about it. This state of premature satisfaction tricks your subconscious into believing the victory is already secure. Consequently, the raw, aggressive hunger, the vital evolutionary anger required to wake up at dawn, endure the pain of isolation, and do the brutal work is completely neutralized. You feel like a champion while sitting on your couch, having done absolutely nothing. You spend your psychological fuel on the announcement, leaving your tank completely empty for the execution. Machiavelli recognized that emotional impulsivity and the desperate need for temporary validation are the ultimate downfalls of ambitious men. The silent achiever treats their attention and their dopamine as a sovereign resource. They operate in strict alignment with Seneca, who noted that true nobility resides entirely within and requires no external witness to justify its existence. The silent achiever actively starves their ego of cheap verbal rewards. They do not want your praise. They do not need your encouragement to feel real. They deliberately hold the internal pressure inside their minds, letting it compress and build like steam in a closed engine. They allow that frustration, that ambition, and that hunger to transform into an unyielding discipline that can only be satisfied by concrete results. When you study the calculated realism of Machiavelli through a Stoic lens, you discover the strategy of the tactical smokescreen. Machiavelli warned that the world is a continuous chessboard, and to reveal your true destination to your opponents is an act of treason against your own future. In your life, the opponents are the small-minded people, the emotional vampires, and the hidden manipulators who pretend to be your allies while waiting for you to stumble. To survive them, you must learn to become socially and visually unremarkable. You must learn the art of being unreadable. When the world asks the silent achiever what they are working on, they do not brag about their late nights or hint at their impending financial or physical elevation. They smile smoothly, nod politely, and deliver a beautifully boring, utterly forgettable response. They tell the world that they are just trying to get through the week, that their routine is exactly the same, and that nothing significant is happening in their life. This is the ultimate form of psychological cloaking. By presenting yourself as static, average, and unthreatening, you trigger a massive relief in the toxic people around you. Their competitive anxiety subsides. They delete you from their radar of suspicion. They assume you have plateaued, and their arrogance blinds them from looking closer. While they are busy celebrating their loud, superficial milestones and seeking attention on public platforms, the silent achiever is working in absolute insulation. They are acquiring assets, building digital infrastructure, sharpening their skill sets, and cutting off bad habits in total privacy. They use the darkness of the world's low expectations as a sanctuary to build a life of immense power. To sustain this lifestyle of continuous, hidden progression, you must construct what Marcus Aurelius called the Inner Citadel. This is an internal fortress constructed from pure logic, deep self-control, and absolute self-respect. When you choose to move in silence, you are placing a heavy, reinforced lock on the gates of your mind. You are actively deciding who is worthy of seeing your unfiltered brilliance and who deserves to be left in the dark. You must realize that your ambitions are not public property. Your ideas, your sweat, your tears, and your strategic plans are sacred assets. Ask yourself, why are you handing your sacred goals to people who have built nothing in their own lives? Why are you allowing a broken, toxic relative or a narcissistic friend to perform an audit on your future? Consider the evolutionary biology of a seed. A seed does not break open and sprout in the middle of a crowded highway under the scrutiny of passers-by. It requires the suffocating, silent pressure of the deep earth. It needs to be buried in darkness. If you drag the seed out of the soil every morning to prove to your peers that it is growing, you kill the root system before it can ever anchor itself. The silent achiever allows themselves to be buried by their work. They take the massive, volatile energy that most people waste on arguing, explaining, projecting, and boasting, and they compress it. They channel that raw force directly into the foundations of their fortress, ensuring that when the storms of life inevitably hit, Their structures will stand completely unyielding. The transition into a silent achiever requires an execution of emotional control that borders on the absolute. It is a psychological crucible that most people fail because human pride is incredibly fragile. When you commit to absolute silence, the world will inevitably misinterpret your quietness as weakness or lack of ambition. Because you are not broadcasting your numbers, toxic individuals will assume you are falling behind. Your peers will flash their material possessions, their job titles, and their superficial milestones directly in your path to solicit a reaction. They will make passive-aggressive remarks at your expense, assuming your silence means you have nothing to show for your life. This is your test of fire. This is the moment where the insecure person breaks and surrenders their leverage. They get defensive. They feel the desperate need to prove their worth, blurting out their hidden timeline just to soothe their wounded pride. And the moment they speak, they lose. They hand over their sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius gave us the definitive shield for this exact moment. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. If they are loud, become an immovable stone wall. If they mock your quietness, let them celebrate their delusion. The silent achiever understands that the louder a person screams about their status, the hollower their actual foundation is. True power does not need to yell. The mountain does not announce its height. The ocean does not have to prove its depth. Their sheer mass speaks for them. By maintaining absolute emotional neutrality under provocation, you do something deeply unsettling to your manipulators. You become a psychological black hole. When a toxic person hurls an insult, a boast, or a manipulative trap at you, and meets a calm, steady, unblinking gaze followed by absolute silence, their nervous system begins to panic. They realize they have no leverage over your mind. They realize your self-worth is not tied to their feedback loop. You have rendered yourself completely untouchable. The ultimate objective of Machiavellian Stoicism is not permanent obscurity. It is the tactical, unexpected, and utterly undeniable reveal. But understand this distinction clearly. The silent achiever never lifts the curtain with words. They never make a dramatic social media post. They never give an arrogant victory speech. And they never look for an apology from those who doubted them. They simply let reality reshape itself around their success. One day, without warning, the social and financial dynamics completely invert. The enterprise is fully operational. The physical transformation is undeniable. The psychological exit from the toxic environment is absolute and permanent. When the narcissists, the cynics, and the false friends look up from their own trivial distractions and realize that the quiet, unassuming individual they dismissed has constructed an unassailable mountain of real-world results, they are utterly paralyzed. They have no time to mount an opposition. They have no way to execute sabotage, because the concrete has already cured. You did not give them an opportunity to infect your process. You simply presented them with an unchangeable, finished reality. You did not trigger their envy during the building phase. You crushed their capacity to harm you by delivering an absolute victory. Stop selling your internal peace for the cheap, depreciating currency of social approval. Lock your jaw, focus your eyes, and let your hands do the heavy lifting. The next time you feel the desperate, weak impulse to tell someone what you are about to accomplish, pull the lever of your discipline. Take a deep breath, return to the shadows, and let the internal pressure build. Realize that true dominance is never announced. It is executed. Do not tell the world your next move. Do not look for approval in the noise of the crowd. Step into the absolute privacy of your inner citadel. Apply your focus to the stone and begin the work. If this message has reinforced the walls of your mind and sharpened your strategic clarity, recognize your responsibility to your own potential. Subscribe to Silent Power Psychology. Leave a silent mark of approval, and share these insights strictly with those few minds who possess the discipline to understand it. Stay disciplined. Stay silent. Stay untouchable.